All right, some breaking news from the Senate. This is from the AP. Senate Republicans approve budget framework pushing past Democratic objections after all night vote. So, the reason why this is super interesting is because there's kind of a. So, both chambers of Congress are held by the Republicans. The Senate wants to propose essentially kind of like two bills. They want to have one that focuses on uh, rerouting more funding to immigration, the Pentagon defense spending, and stuff like that. And then they kind of want to have a separate bill for the tax cuts and all that. Meanwhile, the House wants to just have it all in one big giant bill. To my knowledge, this article may get into it and either validate what I'm saying or invalidate it, but they essentially want the same things. It's about how are we doing it. Trump has endorsed the House version. He wants it to be in one big beautiful bill. So that's why it's interesting that Senate Republicans are still pushing forward with their own bills because both chambers have to pass a version of one of the bills. Like you can't you have to pick one. So this is why it's interesting, and I haven't read this article. I've kind of skimmed it. So let's get into it and let's see what it's all about. So Republican senators pushed a $340 billion budget framework to passage early Friday, chugging through an all-night session and Democratic opposition in a step towards unleashing money the Trump administration says it needs for mass deportations and border security. The top agenda. The hours-long vote-a-rama rambled along in a dreaded but crucial part of the budget process, as senators considered one amendment after another, largely from Democrats trying to halt it, but Republicans used their majority power to muscle the package to approval on a largely party-line vote, 52 to 48, with all Democrats and one GOP senator opposing it. What we're doing today is jumpstarting a process that will allow the Republican Party to meet President Trump's immigration agenda, Senate Budget Committee Chair Lindsey Graham, RC, said while opening the debate. Graham said President Donald Trump's top immigration czar, Tom Homan, God, that guy's a piece of work, dude. People say Pete Hegseth is the drunk. Go look at Tom Homan talk. Dude is sloshed on a daily basis. Anyways, I digress. Senators that the administration's deportation operations are out of money and need more funding from Congress to detain and deport immigrants. I thought you guys were deficit hawks and about cutting money, not increasing it. I thought Trump was going to have the Pentagon budget, and as we'll get to, this bill, in both bills include an increase to the Pentagon. So they're just lying, and they want to bring in more money for immigration. They're spending more money on deporting people than any burden those people put on the system. In most cases, they're paying upwards of almost 100 billion annually while collecting no federal benefits because of their status. And they want to funnel hundreds of billions in to not only take away that revenue and do you not see how this is just so against what their values are supposed to be if they are truly deficit hawks and truly want to balance the budget and pay down the national debt? Yeah, it's all bull. Anyways, Graham said, oh wait, nope, wrong place. With little power in the minority to stop the onslaught, Democrats instead used all night to debate to force GOP senators into potentially embarrassing votes, including the first one on blocking tax breaks to billionaires. It was turned back on procedural grounds. So were many others. This is going to be a long, drawn-out fight, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York warned hours after Schumer said it was only the beginning of what could become a months-long debate. God. And that's our leader right there. That's our leader, Chuck fucking Schumer, man. We're cooked. The package is what Republicans view as the down payment on Trump's agenda, part of a broader effort that will eventually include legislation to extend some $4.5 trillion in tax breaks and other priorities. Yeah. Shouldn't they be balancing the budget and stuff? That's being assembled by House Speaker Mike Johnson in a separate budget package that also seeks to up to $2 trillion in reductions to healthcare and other programs. Trump also has preferred what he calls one big, beautiful bill, but the White House is open to the Senate's strategy of working on the border package first, when turning to tax cuts later this year. As voting began, the president signaled his go-ahead, posting a thank you to Senate Majority Leader John Thune and the Republican Senate for working so hard on funding the Trump border agenda. Republican Senator Ron Paul of Kentucky cast a lone GOP vote against the framework. So I'm confused. Is Trump now like endorsing the Senate package? Because if you look just the other day, he was endorsing and as they kind of alluded to here, he was endorsing the House version of the bill. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see. It's like they can't know your next move if you don't even know your next move type of stuff that's going on here. So what is in the Senate GOP package? The Republican Senate package would allow up to $175 billion to be spent on border security. Yeah, that's not waste. That's not waste. How is that not waste? They'll look at like U.S. aid, which is like $40 billion, less than 1% of the budget, and that's going to mostly humanitarian causes abroad. And they look at that and they say, nope, waste. Also, it plays a very important part of inserting our soft power around the world, our influence, and also serves a role in building up economies of developing nations, not because out of the goodness of our hearts, so that we can do business with them someday, in turn kind of just paying for itself. And then they want to turn around and do $175 billion to be spent on border security. Like 5 times more. Like, what are we talking about? They just say stuff. They just say stuff. You can't take them at their word. Look at what they do. But there won't be any money flowing just yet, as the process is several steps ahead. The budget resolution is simply a framework that sends instructions to the various Senate committees, Homeland Security, Armed Service, Judiciary, to hammer out the details. Everything will eventually be assembled in another package, with another vote-a-rama down the road. Senator John Bresso, Republican from Wyoming, the number 2 ranking Senate Republican, said GOP lawmakers are acting quickly to get the administration the resources they have requested and need to curb illegal border crossings. The budget will allow us to finish the wall. Jesus. It also takes the steps we need towards more border agents. Bresso said it means more detention beds. It means more deportation flights. Yeah, like, what's their argument for getting rid of these illegals again? Like, they said it was only violent ones. And if it was only violent ones, heck yeah, man, get them out of here. But they already admitted that it's anyone who has a criminal record, or is a criminal, not a criminal record, just a criminal. Well, obviously, coming here is a criminal offense. It's only a freaking misdemeanor. But anyways, yeah. What are we benefit here? Is it lowering crime, getting rid of these people? Are these people increasing crime? Do the research. They're not. They commit less crime than natural-born citizens, okay? That's the truth. Are they saving us money? No. They're spending money to do this. Just use a little bit of critical thinking, please. Republicans insist the whole thing will be paid for rather than piled onto the debt, with potential spending cuts in new revenues. Yeah, how's that going? He's cut like a third of what he claims he has, and even what he has cut is like maybe 1% of the budget. And it's a disaster what he has cut. The committees are expected to consider rolling back the Biden administration's methane emissions fee, which was approved by Democrats as a part of climate change strategies in the Inflation Reduction Act, and hoping to draw new revenue from energy leases as they aim to spur domestic energy production. One amendment that was accepted after several hours of debate was actually a Republican effort to fend off criticism that the package would be paid by cutting safety net programs. The amendment from Senator Dan Sullivan from Alaska said Medicaid and Medicare would be strengthened during the budget process. Okay, they say that. Let's watch what they do. Democrats brought a slew of amendments. First up from Democrats was a vote to prevent tax breaks for billionaires, an amendment that was repeated in various forms throughout the night. Democrats argue that the GOP tax cuts approved in 2017 flowed to the wealthiest Americans, and extending them, as Trump wants Congress to do later this year, would prolong the giveaway. Even though the billionaire amendments failed, they picked up some Republican support. Senator Susan Collins of Maine voted for several of them, and Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, voted for another. Josh Hawley's so weird, man. He can be like super based on oddly specific issues and then just a complete nut job on like 98% of everything else. Schumer launched strategy earlier this week to use budget debate to focus on both the implications of tax policy and the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, which is slashing across the federal government. It's a better approach for Democrats in arguing against tougher border security and deportations, which divides the party. All told, senators processed almost 36 amendments of reversing DOGE cuts, protecting federal workers from being fired, ensuring U.S. support for Ukraine as it battles Russia and others. Senator Patty Murray of Washington, the top Democrat on the Senate Appropriations Committee, said the biggest driver of the national debt since 2001 has been a series of Republican-led tax cuts. Yeah, let's not forget a big contributor to that was the tax cut they're trying to extend from Trump's first term. 25% of our national debt came from Trump's first term. Just remember that. And you'll never guess what our Republican colleagues on the other side of the aisle are focused on right now. Nothing to lower the cost of eggs. It's actually more Republican tax cuts, Murray said. She called the budget plan a roadmap of painful cuts to programs families count on each and every day so they can give billionaires more tax cuts. That's 100% correct. Go look at the tax cuts from his first term. That's essentially what they're sending. Go look where those benefits went to. I don't know how you can be just so mindlessly against Democrats. I understand Democrats have a lot of issues. I wish I could spend more time fighting the Democratic Party from a progressive standpoint than having to protect them from the most like blatantly false agendas that the Republicans are pushing. It's exhausting. It makes me throw up in my mouth every time I have to go out and play defense for Joe Biden because they'll just completely take like one of the few things he did good and slander it. So it's annoying. Like look what we just read. Look what Democrats are fighting for versus what Republicans are fighting for. Like Congress is racing itself. The budget resolution is setting up what's called the reconciliation process, which used to be rare, but now is a tool often used to pass big bills on party line votes when one party has control of the White House and Congress, as Republicans do now. But Republicans are arguing with themselves over how to proceed. The House is marching ahead on its big, beautiful bill, believing that one chance to get it right. The Senate views its two-bill strategy as a more practical, delivering on border security first and then turning to taxes later. Budget rules allow for the passage by a simple majority vote, which is key in the Senate, where it typically takes 60 votes to break a filibuster on big items. During Trump's first term, Republicans used the reconciliation process to pass GOP tax cuts in 2017. Democrats used reconciliation during Joe Biden's presidency to approve COVID-19 relief and the Inflation Reduction Act. Two overall very good things. Don't believe me? Go do the research, like a nice line by line of what they did, and you make your own determination if they were bad or not. Stop listening to what Donald Trump and Elon Musk tells you. Stop listening to what I tell you. Stop listening to what anyone tells you. Go do the research. Like, just please use a little bit of thinking and curiosity, and it'll blow your mind someday. I promise. I've gone through several reawakenings of my views because I was raised very conservatively. Yeah. So where'd I leave off? Budget rules allow. Yeah. Trump appears to be starting to fight pitting. Okay, yeah. Trump appears to be starting to fight pitting Republicans in House and Senate against each other to see which one delivers the fastest. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below, and if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.